reading for years 3 and 4, and this is week 9 and lesson 3. Good morning, everybody. Today's lesson focus, we will read chapter 15 of Fantastic Mr. Fox. We will look at how Roald Dahl captures the reader's interest and imagination. Today's learning objective is to discuss words and phrases that capture the reader's interest and imagination, and your success criteria. I can discuss words and phrases that capture the reader's interest and imagination. I can also identify words and phrases from a text that capture the reader's interest and imagination. I can even use my own words and phrases to capture the reader's interest and imagination. We will look at some of the vocabulary that we will come across today whilst reading the chapter. And our first word is pitch. What does pitch mean? So a pitch is an area of ground that is marked out. And here is a sentence example. The football pitch was huge. Vast. What does vast mean? Vast is when something is extremely large. Here is a sentence example. Russia is a vast country. Gloomy. What does gloomy mean? If something is gloomy, it is dark or poorly lit, especially so as to appear depressing or frightening. Sentence example. Because the sky looked gloomy, I took an umbrella to school. Accustomed. What does accustomed mean? If you are accustomed to something, you know it so well or have experienced it so often. And our sentence example. We have become accustomed to socially distancing from others. Our next word is miraculous. What does this mean? So, miraculous is very effective or surprising, or difficult to believe, a bit like a miracle. And sentence example. He made a miraculous recovery after the accident. Poaching. What does poaching mean? Poaching is to trespass in order to steal animals or to hunt. Sentence example for you. Because of poaching, the hunted African rhino is now at risk of being extinct from the earth. Brute. Have you heard of this word? So, brute is a violent person or animal. And your sentence example. Brute force usually won any battle he fought. So, we are now ready to read chapter 15. Bean's Secret Cider Cellar. Mr. Fox examined the wall carefully. He saw that the cement between the bricks was old and You can't come in here. It's private. Good Lord, said Badger, it's rats. You saucy beast, said Mr. Fox. I should have guessed we'd find you down here somewhere. Go away, shrieked Rat. Go on, beat it. This is my private pitch. Shut up, said Mr. Fox. I will not shut up, shrieked Rat. This is my place. I got here first. Mr. Fox gave a brilliant smile, flashing his white teeth. My dear Rat, he said softly, I am a hungry fellow, and if you don't hop it quickly, I shall eat you up in one gulp. That did it. Rat popped back fast out of sight. Mr. Fox laughed and began pulling more bricks out of the wall. When he had made a biggish hole, he crept through it. Badger and the smallest fox followed him in. They found themselves in a vast, damp, gloomy cellar. This is it, cried Mr. Fox. This is what? Said Badger. The place is empty. Where are the turkeys? Asked the smallest fox, staring into the gloom. I thought Bean was a turkey man. He is a turkey man, said Mr. Fox, but we're not after turkeys now. We've got plenty of food. Then what do we need, Dad? Take a good look around, said Mr. Fox. Don't you see anything that interests you? Badger and the smallest fox peered into the half-darkness. As their eyes became accustomed to the gloom, they began to see what looked like a whole lot of big glass jars standing upon shelves around the walls. They went closer. They were jars. There were hundreds of them. Upon each one was written the word cider. The smallest fox leapt high in the air. Oh, Daddy, cried out, look what we found, it's cider. Exactly, said Mr. Fox. Tremendous, shouted Badger. Bean's secret cider cellar, said Mr. Fox. But go carefully, my dears, don't make a noise. This cellar is right underneath the farmhouse itself. Cider, said Badger, is especially good for badgers. We take it as medicine, 1 large glass 3 times a day, with meals, and another at bedtime. It will make the feast into a banquet, said Mr. Fox. While they were talking, the smallest fox had sneaked a jar off the shelf and had taken a gulp. Wow, he gasped. Wowee. You must understand this was not the ordinary weak fizzy cider one buys in a store. It was the real stuff, a home-brewed, fiery liqueur that burned in your throat and boiled in your stomach. Ah, gasped the smallest fox, this is some cider. That's quite enough of that, said Mr. Fox, grabbing the jar and putting it into his own lips. He took a tremendous gulp. It's miraculous, he whispered, fighting for breath. It's fabulous, it's beautiful. It's my turn, said Badger, taking the jar and tilting his head well back. The cider gurgled and bubbled down his throat. It's like melted gold, he gasped. Oh, Foxy, it's like drinking sunbeams and rainbows. You're poaching, shrieked Rat. Put that down at once. There'll be none left for me. Rat was perched upon the highest shelf in the cellar, peering out from behind a huge jar. There was a small rubber tube inserted in the neck of the jar, and Rat was using this tube to suck out the cider. You're drunk, said Mr. Fox. Mind your own business, shrieked Rat, and if you great clumsy brutes come messing about in here, we'll all be caught. Get out and leave me to sip my cider in peace. At that moment, they heard a woman's voice calling out in the house above them. Hurry up and get that cider, Mabel, the voice called. You know, Mr. Bean doesn't like to be kept waiting, especially when he's been out all night in a tent. The animals froze. They stayed absolutely still. Their ears pricked, their bodies tense. Then they heard the sound of a door being opened. The door was at the top of a flight of stone steps leading out from the house to the cellar. And now someone was starting to come down those steps. Okay, that is the end of the chapter. Okay, let's look at today's learning activity. So, Badger and the smallest fox were confused when they didn't see any turkeys. Mr. Fox explained that they already had food and that they were there for drinks. The cellar was a dark, gloomy place. Roald Dahl creates tension and captures the reader's interest and imagination. So he leaves the reader wanting to know more. For example, what were the animals going to see when their eyes adjusted to the light? You are now going to write your own version of when the animals see the cellar for the first time. So what do they see? So remember to use interesting and exciting vocabulary. Describe the setting, the characters and their feelings. You can use the fiction writing word map to help you. Okay, and there is your word map. You are going to try to capture the reader's interest and imagination. Plenary, read your version of chapter 15 to someone else. Did you manage to create tension? Could they imagine the cellar?